And Mark, now we move on into the Tennessee Titans. The whole reason, I'm going to be honest, it's the whole reason why I wore this shirt. Why I wore my Attack on Titan shirt, because it says Titans, and we're talking about the Titans in this preview. We finally get to Tennessee. Before we hit the record button, it's like you just said, we finally get to a playoff team in this preview.
That's right.
The next two teams we will be looking at are playoff teams. And the first thing I want to ask with the Titans is basically this. They have a new head coach coming in Mike Vrabel. They bring in new offensive coordinator who was the quarterback coach with the Rams under McVay and Matt LaFleur. What should we expect from this Titan team who was already a playoff team last year with these coaching changes, and what can we expect from Marcus Mariota with the LaFleur offense?
Well, I think that here's the thing for the Tennessee Titans. A lot of people got really hyped up on the Titans last year and thought that they're finally going to do it. Mm-hmm. This is when they're going to make this move. You know, Marcus Mariota is going to lead this team into success. And they've got a young team put together, but we just were maybe a year too early. Mm-hmm. And part of that is awful job as far as coaching. It was not done well. It was very predictable. It was very obvious. It was very slow moving. Nothing was going well for it. Mm-hmm. So with that adjustment, sure, it's going to be there. But you look at some of these teams. You look at some of these young studs out there, like obviously Mariota, Derrick Henry, Corey Davis, who are, those two guys, Derrick Henry, Corey Davis, even Mariota putting them in there. Young guys who just kind of haven't really gotten to that full potential just yet. They have more left in them. And I think that I'm not 100% sure on Mike Vrabel, but he's going to be a defensive-focused guy, I think. Mm-hmm. So you have a good offensive coordinator who's really going to help lead the way forward for this and get the most out of everybody. I think this is finally that year where you see these this young roster, these young players actually hitting that stride, reaching forward, and kind of giving us what we expect out of them.
Now, one of the things that Titan fans are going to say, guys, you got to talk about DeMarco Murray announcing his retirement. We lost DeMarco Murray. Me personally, I don't think it's going to be a huge loss for the Tennessee Titans. I know that when I asked Sean about it, because it happened one of the nights we were recording the fast break, he was like, yeah, who cares? Doesn't matter. Derrick Henry is the starting running back anyways. Like, he's like, DeMarco Murray ain't what he used to be when he was with Dallas. And another reason why I'm kind of in that camp that the DeMarco Murray retirement doesn't hurt that much, you sign Dion Lewis in the offseason. You go ahead and you draft a guy, Wadley, out of Iowa, who I think is going to be a really good running back at the next level. Might not be your starting running back, but he can help you out in certain run situations and be a solid contributor to your rushing attack. Another interesting pickup that they had, you talked about defense, interesting pickup on the defensive side of the ball. They bring in another former New England Patriot. They bring in Malcolm Butler to be cornerback on the other side of the football. And I look at this team and what they kind of have. They have a good mix to me of young and old players. They're veterans. They have Logan Ryan on that defense. They've got Cyphrin, who used to be with Jacksonville. You get Malcolm Butler, who used to be with New England. You get Dion Lewis, who used to be with New England. But you have those young players. Marcus Mariota, still young. Derrick Henry, still young. Corey Davis, still young. You bring in a veteran wide receiver in free agency. You didn't draft him. It was free agency in 2016 with Rashard Matthews. There's a good mix here. My whole question is, this was a team that was 9-7 last year, so they weren't blowing the doors off of anything. And to me, I feel like this team, the only reason I have them taking a minor step back and not getting to 9 wins this year is because of that new coaching staff putting in and implementing their system this year. I don't know if they're going to translate to wins right away with the Vrabel regime in Tennessee.
The biggest concern for me, coaching-wise, is the fact that those Bill Belichick type of coaches, those New England coaches, they just don't work when they leave.
Mm-hmm.
And when, having them in these head coaching positions, it's exciting. Everybody gets excited about it. But Vrabel was one of those ones where I really looked at it and I didn't see it. I didn't understand it. The team
It was kind of like,
yeah, right?
All right.
The team last year, it wasn't something where I was like, this is a bad deal.
But
this
it was
is a
like,
bad move.
Oh, wasn't expecting that.
Right. And I do think that I was expecting them to kind of go and say, well, the thing that really hurt us last year, I believe, was this offense was handcuffed to bad play calls, to bad coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of fix that by going out and getting a great offensive mind coach or something like that. Sure, that would have made sense to me.
Yeah.
They obviously went the direction they went, and I'm not going to hold that against them. Pretty much anybody who you wanted a little bit more out of, they didn't give you quite enough. And I think that's something that's going to get fixed. I do wonder with the coaching staff, but this offense has to be better. The defense certainly is going to be better as well. So you just start improving things. You start getting more yards. You start having better game plans. It's certainly going to be a better team this year than it just was last year. And last year they were a 9-7 playoff team.
This year, to me, they're going to have a tougher schedule in my mind. And the one thing I had to look up is they did split with they beat Jacksonville twice last year. I don't think that happens again. I want to basically do this with their schedule. I want to list you off 10 games. You tell me if I'm crazy for saying that they can go 0-10 in all of these games.
Okay.
Both Jacksonville games, so home and away. Home against the Eagles, home against the Ravens, at the Chargers, at the Cowboys, home against the Patriots. I almost said Titans. Well, of course they'd be home. Home against the Patriots. The road games between the Colts and Texans, and then the home game against the Redskins.
Well, I certainly think that it's not surprising to say that they could easily split the division 3-3 because it's a good division. It is, especially with Andrew Luck coming back. It's a good division. Can win your home games, lose all your road games, and they play tough teams. Like you mentioned the Eagles, you mentioned the Chargers, the Patriots. They play some tough teams, but I don't think it's unrealistic to say that they split with the Jaguars because the Jaguars, they surprised everybody last year, but they certainly have some flaws on that team as well. And I'm going to trust Marcus Mariota to go out and win me a game. I'm not going to trust Blake Bortles to do that same thing. So really with that...
But the defense is a lot tougher for Jacksonville.
Sure, but this defense should be better for Tennessee as well. So, you look at some of this, and really it's going to come down to some of those games where they really have to win. They have the teams that they should beat. They should beat the Jets, sure. People are going to say they should beat the Dolphins.
They should beat the Bills.
They should beat the Bills. But there's those games like the Ravens, the Chargers, the Cowboys. Those are the ones where they really...
Even the Giants being at New York.
But I'm still going to say that people are probably going to say they should beat the Giants. I don't really 100% agree because I think the Giants will be better this year, but they're not going to be amazing. But those kind of games where it's in between, they really need to win those up in the air type of games. And the Ravens are going to be a good team. The Chargers are going to be a good team. These are good teams out there, but what I really want to see out of the Titans, and I'm not expecting, 4,500 yards out of a guy like Marcus Mariota, but I want to see Marcus Mariota go out there with command of this offense and everybody to just be better, get more yards, throw more touchdowns. And like I said, part of it was the fact that this offense was just handcuffed by, honestly, just crappy coaching, really is what it comes down to. But Mariota, to me, he had that really nice 2016 season, but those two bookends, this past season and the rookie year, were nothing phenomenal. And part of it was rookie year, he was out for, 4 games that he was hurt for, and he's been hurt at least one game every year. But I just want to see more out of Mariota. Get more yards, throw more touchdowns. Let's look at 2016 and let's expand upon that. Because, yeah, Derrick Henry is a good running back, but He's not Le'Veon Bell. He's not going to go out there and get you almost 1,300 yards all on his own. This offense all needs to be better, and I really think that this was the right move because last year's offense, I said that getting to winning a playoff game was one of the worst things that could happen to the Titans because they might be stuck with the bad offense that they had because of the coaches.
My biggest question this year, I'd like to kind of take my question that I asked you about the 10 games who they could beat of those. To basically put it simple, I said this in one of the AFC North teams. I think it was the Ravens, I believe, when Sean and I did that division. Same thing is true for the Titans. The most important thing that will determine whether or not the Titans are battling for a playoff spot again, or if they're a 7-9, 6-10 team, is how they do against teams with winning records. Right now, when I look at my record for the Titans, 0-6 against winning teams. Eagles, Chargers, Cowboys, Patriots, and both Jaguar games. Every winning opponent that they play, 0-6 against. Against losing, then you go 6-4, you win those games. That, to me, is the big thing. Can you beat the Jacksonvilles like you did last year twice? Can you beat the Eagles? Can you beat the Cowboys? Not going to say can you beat the Patriots. You'll probably lose that game. There's not many teams that are going to beat, maybe 2 or 3, beat the Patriots this year. But can you get wins, especially those home games? Eagles you have at home. You get the Jaguars once at home.
Upset one of these teams, yeah.
Like, I didn't even mention Ravens and Redskins. I have them right now maybe around 8-8, not winnable, like winning record teams, so they don't fall into it. Can you get a win and sneak one of those? Those are 2 home games. So to me, it depends. How are you going to play? Basically, how are you going to play against 500 and above teams?
Here's what scares me is the fact that last year's, and I'm saying this with with an asterisk next to it, that Delaney Walker was your leading receiver last year of 800 some yards.
Yeah.
Rashad Matthews had like 600, I think. Corey Davis had like 300 plus.
And you drafted Corey Davis to be your main guy?
Yeah, this was bad passing the ball. And like I said, this offense in general was just bad. Coaching is a huge part of that. That's gone. I want to see what Matt LaFleur can do, how he can infuse some of that high-flying, we score a shit ton of points here in L.A. offense for the Rams into Tennessee. That's what Tennessee needs. That's what people have wanted out of Tennessee. And, I don't think they have bad receivers. I don't think they have a bad running back. But I don't necessarily see that one guy who is that, look, there's Antonio Brown, or sticking with the Steelers, there's Le'Veon Bell, there's Fournette. I want to see that. And I know Derrick Henry isn't that type of guy. That's why DeMarco Murray being gone is a little bit of a loss. Not a huge loss, but it is a loss. They need somebody like Corey Davis to step up and say, no, I will be that guy. I will be the guy who really goes out there and dominates and leads this offense, who becomes Marcus Mariota, not just needing a safety blanket. This is the guy who Marcus Mariota can lean on so he can build upon that 2016 season where things sophomore year looked like they were going in the correct direction, where then we took a step back for year 3, and now year 4 we really kind of need to move in that correct direction, because if things keep being kind of pedestrian, and I'm not saying that Marcus Mariota is out of here. Nobody get mad at me for saying that.
Let me go. Can I go there for a second?
Well, yeah, sure. If we get to 4 years and it's still pedestrian, there will be people that are saying what you're, I think, about to say.
Well, no, I wasn't going to say let's get him out of town. I was going to say this. You look at the years 3-13, 9-7, 9-7. Let's say this year. Let's say it's below 9-7. It's between 9-7 and 6-10. Then next year, it's another like 8-8, 9-7 team. Marcus Mariota's contract's up. Are there then people that say, hey, why are we going to re-sign this guy? Why would he be worth the money when we can't win with him? And the thing that I think is interesting, I don't think this is something that's like oh, he's going to push him out of town. But I think it's right now just if you're going through your cliff notes, you're like, I'm flagging this for later. I'm putting a flag on this page. I'm going to come back to it. They drafted Luke Falk in the draft, and he was a guy to me.
I'm not that worried about Luke Falk.
I expected a team like the Patriots to pick up, a team where it's like, we don't need a quarterback immediately right away, but he's a guy we could develop into something if we have to get rid of, or if Tom Brady retired with the Patriots. That to me could be one where it's like, hey, maybe they drafted Luke Falk this year knowing well that, hey, if we're pedestrian these next 2 years and we have to let Mariota go because we won't want to pay him, we could develop Luke Falk these next 2 years to be the starter if we have to.
If this year's not good or Mariota gets hurt or something like that, and it's looking like, I don't know if we've got the guy.
Too. If he gets injured again, it's how can you pay a guy who's been injured every year?
I expect that if it's getting to this point where for whatever reason they're thinking, I don't know if this is the guy, they'll draft somebody higher. I can't expect that they're going to go.
Also depends on where they are in the draft.
Well, yeah.
If they're a team that goes 9-7 again,
we've seen a lot of teams make moves for their quarterbacks in recent years.
True,
and it's not the Robert Griffin III kind of trade where everyone laughed about it.
Chiefs being one that made the playoffs but made the move for Mahomes.
Exactly. So a lot of teams being willing to move. I mean, just 2 years ago, literally all three teams that drafted a quarterback in the first round made a trade in order to do so. So it's totally possible. And like I said, I'm not willing to go there yet. I'm just saying that this offense, to avoid being in that situation, it needs to not be this just kind of middle of the road type of offense. And they bring in LaFleur to be the offensive coordinator for a reason, because they saw what was able to happen with Jared Goff. If Jared Goff, who had a bad rookie, 4 games, can move into having an amazing second year in the NFL, if you can get that out of Marcus Mariota, and I'm not saying he needs to go out there and, like I said, throw 4,500 yards, but just get him to that next level. Get him out there throwing touchdowns to these receivers. Corey Davis was like 300 yards, no touchdowns last year. That is a joke. He needs to be able to get more. And the excitement about the Tennessee Titans is that people were excited about them last year, but that wasn't the year. This next year is just a whole nother year of experience. Around a lot of these young guys, they've got a very strong offensive line. The defense is good. They have the potential to be that surprise kind of underdog team. They can make it happen. We just need to see more out of this team. And the thing that really surprises a lot of people is, I think we all expected Marcus Mariota to come into the NFL and just run away with it. Really be like a Deshaun Watson, come in rookie year and just dominate people. Be like Andrew Luck. Push your team into the playoffs every year, because that's how talented you are coming into the NFL, no questions about it. But Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, who came in together, neither one has been that guy to really push their team to that next level. We're getting to that point where it's not going to be that far down the line if neither one of these guys takes a huge step forward, that on our podcast we're having the conversation, is it time to move on?
I'm going to say this year, I see the Titans being, at best, they're 9-7 again. But realistically, I see them as a 6-win, 7-win team. 6-10, 7-9. And the reason why I say that is they play a lot of teams this year. At least 6 of them will have winning records. There are 4 to me. So there's a possible 10 that could have winning records. But there are basically 6 for sure that will have winning records. And let's be completely honest. Of those teams, Eagles will be in a playoff hunt. Patriots will be a playoff team. Cowboys will be in a playoff hunt. I could see the Cowboys being the Lions of last year. Oh, they finished 10-6. Still didn't get a wild card because they finished behind the Eagles and couldn't get into the wild card in that tough NFC. And then obviously Jacksonville, they're going to be in the playoffs this year, I believe. I just look at last year and it's like, yeah, you went 9-7. Yeah, you made the playoffs. But if things change a little bit, like look at your Texan games. Deshaun Watson plays game 1. you lose 57-14. He doesn't play game 2, you win 24-13. I'm looking at that going, if Deshaun Watson's healthy, you lose both of those games. Yeah. I don't see the Titans winning both Jaguar games this year. I see them maybe winning one, maybe losing both. I don't see them winning both of those. And with Andrew Luck, I could see them splitting with the Colts. Like 3-3. If they went 3-3 in the division last year, that meant even though I said they would lose to Deshaun Watson again, I'll still give them the win in the second one. That's 7 wins. You lose to Deshaun Watson that second time, that's 6 wins. That's what I think this season will be like. That last season just had those chips fall in the right place.
Yeah, I kind of had trouble getting them over 9 wins when you really look at it as well. And, and I think that's okay for the Tennessee Titans as long as they get some progress with this, new coaching staff. But that's really what it comes down to. If you're a Tennessee Titans fan, you have to see offensive progress.
And also the thing I'll throw in there is those both Jacksonville games from last year, Blake Bortles played like shit, and Leonard Fournette did not do anything on the ground. And you could say Titan fans that, we did a great job shutting down that Jaguar offense. Maybe, but at the same time, it's Leonard Fournette gets going. Those games, especially that second one, Week 17, completely different games.
Sure, but Tennessee's defense is good. I'm not going to try and discount or doubt Tennessee's defense. It's solid.
You do add Malcolm Butler, that is a plus. It's not a negative.
Exactly. They've got the right pieces. They've got Vrabel there. He can make a difference. He can push that part forward. LaFleur should hopefully be good on the offensive side, and I think he's going to have a lot of control over this offense, and they've got what they need. They just need to actually make it happen on the field.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. I feel like out of all the teams, this could be the one I get the most hate for because I am probably the lowest on the Titans of all of the AFC South teams. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section.